The first update we have today is on Julia Lemigova. This brief clarifies the current status of Julia and her wife, Martina Navratilova's marriage, following that recent Real Housewives of Miami reunion. So, after the reunion stirred up some serious stuff, allegations about Julia maybe sleeping with Adriana Demora and claims of other affairs, well, Julia's explaining her side now and taking full responsibility for hurting Martina. Julia's saying that she and Martina are actually stronger than ever now. She explained that, look, like any couple, they've had their ups and downs. There was this really tough period, which Julia kind of calls her midlife crisis, before she even joined the show back in 2021. During that time, they decided, together, to briefly open up their relationship. It wasn't meant to be a permanent open thing, more like a temporary pass, Something they explored carefully, with mutual agreement, to figure things out. And importantly, Martina knew everything, including about Adriana. Turns out that whole crisis became a real wake-up call. It helped them see they were just so much better together than apart. So they decided to close the marriage again, focusing on fixing what was broken and really communicating better. Julia asked for Martina's forgiveness for the hurt she caused, and she got it. She emphasizes that their marriage is the most sacred thing in her life. Yeah, the public stuff was tough on their daughters, but Julia says the girls know the truth and have been supportive. Plus, the couple adopted 2 sons last year. The boys are doing wonderful, making huge progress, and really helping Julia and Martina focus on their happy, stable home. Oh, and Julia's also planning to study opera full-time, something she started working on a couple of years ago, and Martina's right there beside her, supporting her musical dreams. Their commitment to family and each other really demonstrates how working through imperfections ultimately bonded them, leading to a much stronger foundation today. Before we get into the next update, I need to check in with you all. If you're enjoying our little tea session, take a millisecond to hit the like button, subscribe to join the best reality TV community on YouTube. Done? Let's move on to the next update now. Next, we are going to talk about Brittany Cartwright's debut of her new body following her extensive mommy makeover. Okay, so Brittany recently shared all the details about this huge surgical transformation she went through. This all came after her significant weight loss and, well, her split from husband Jax Taylor last year. She just posted a selfie, kind of post-op, on her social media. She's almost 3 weeks out from the surgery now. And yeah, she admits she's still sore and swollen, but she's saying she is feeling so much better every day, even though she described the recovery as, quote, extremely painful and not easy, which, yikes, sounds intense. And she laid out everything she had done on her podcast When Reality Hits with Brittany Cartwright. It was a lot. We're talking abdominal reconstruction, plus liposuction, back, sides, and stomach. Then a full tummy tuck. Apparently, they took off a good amount of skin, flattened her stomach completely, removed all her stretch marks, and even had to move her belly button up. And on top of all that, she also had breast surgery. She went smaller with her implants, had some tissue removed too, and got a lift to make things, perkier. But, it wasn't just about the physical stuff for her. She explained she really wanted to feel as good on the outside as she was starting to feel inside, especially after the breakup. She mentioned the decision was very important for her mental health. Despite the tough recovery, she seems really happy with her choice and shared a great message urging women to lift other women up always, saying a woman's body is incredible no matter what. So this was today's update about Brittany Cartwright's post-op recovery and body positivity message. Let's now move on to next update. Okay, next, we are going to talk about Wife Swap, the Real Housewives edition, and the surprising news about Wendy Osefo's long-delayed episode. So you might remember, way back in May 2025, Bravo announced this whole new series, right? And Wendy Osefo was actually set to star in the premiere. But then, bam, her episode got shelved. Why? Well, it was all tied up with those insurance fraud charges against her and her husband, Eddie. Apparently, law enforcement found around 15 items that had been reported stolen, like right there at their Maryland home. So, understandably, Bravo was pretty cautious about featuring the property while that whole legal case was still pending. Okay, but here's the update we've been waiting for. Her episode finally has an air date. It's now officially scheduled to air on November 9th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Just so you know where that fits in, Angie Katsanevas' episode already aired first. Then you've got Melissa Gorga's on October 28th, and Emily Simpson's premiering November 4th. Now, what's the episode actually about? Well, it depicts Wendy, who runs a really strict household in Maryland, super focused on tight schedules and education, swapping lives with Alethea Shapiro from Florida. And Alethea's place? It's all about fun, independence, pretty much zero rules. Oh, and yeah, there are ferrets involved. So the episode description really illustrates this core question. Can Dr. Wendy find a balance between all that structure and maybe a little fun? And, on the flip side, can Olivia bring some spontaneity into the Osefo family dynamic? It should be interesting. So this was today's update about Wife Swap, the Real Housewives edition. Let's now move on to next update.
Okay, next we are going to talk about Garcelle Beauvais and a very notable red carpet reunion. So Garcelle Beauvais was out last Thursday in North Hollywood for the premiere screening of her new Lifetime movie, Taken at a Truck Stop, a Black girl missing movie. That film actually premieres Saturday, October 25th, just so you know. But listen, the real headline wasn't just the movie. Garcelle posed right there on the red carpet with Olivia. Now, if that name rings a bell, it's because Avi used to be Sutton Stracke's assistant. And this is interesting because, well, first, Avi only stopped working with Sutton a few months back. Second, you'll remember Garcelle and Sutton had that pretty major falling out during the season 14 reunion. Of course, social media noticed right away. Queens of Bravo posted something pretty funny saying Garcelle kept Avi in the divorce, kind of nodding to that whole Garcelle versus Sutton situation. Now, about Avi leaving. Sutton talked about it back in May on Jeff Lewis Live. She said they were still friends, he was like family, but explained that things evolved and they just parted ways. She mentioned she'd been traveling a lot, but when Jeff Lewis kind of pushed her on whether it was mutual, Sutton admitted she wasn't really sure, and even suggested asking Avi himself. So yeah, Garcelle showing up with Avi definitely brings all that back into focus. Garcelle also celebrated her premiere with her co-stars like Marcy T. House and Sierra Sidwell, and her sons Oliver Saunders and Jade Nylon were there too. So this was today's update about Garcelle Beauvais' reunion with Olivia. Let's now move on to next update. Okay, next we are going to talk about the recent comments made by Angie Katsanevas regarding her Bravo co-star Lisa Barlow and her experience on Wife Swap. So there's been some tension over that center snowflake spot in the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City opening credits, right? Well, Lisa Barlow kind of threw some shade recently, basically saying the center position doesn't really matter, claiming it's mostly about things like height and hair color. But Angie Katsanevas, who's got that spot right now, she clapped back pretty directly. She said she's so honored to be the center snowflake. And Angie made it clear she thinks it has absolutely nothing to do with height. She said, "We're not the Rockettes." Instead, she insists the center spot comes down to what cast members actually contribute to the show, like showing up, being real, and sharing their story. Then Angie spilled some tea about Lisa's alleged off-camera comments from before. Angie claims Lisa used to make a big deal about how she was supposed to be center snowflake, but there was some mix-up because Heather Gay was apparently too close. So yeah, it kind of shows the spot is widely seen as a big deal. Shifting gears a bit, Angie also talked about her time on Wife Swap, the Real Housewives edition, calling it humbling. Remember, she swapped lives with the wife of an Idaho family living totally off the grid. And get this, Angie, who apparently has heated bidet toilets, had never even seen a compost toilet before. She called it a giant poop bag and mentioned the family's young son, saying it could sometimes get used like 40 times before being changed. Wow. Angie wrapped that up by saying if she didn't get some takeaways or have some kind of transformation, the whole thing would have felt like a waste. So this was today's update about Angie Katsanevas, Lisa Barlow, and the center snowflake drama. Let's now move on to next update. Next, we are going to talk about the new limited series Surviving Mormonism with Heather Gay. Okay, so this is a 3-part special over on Bravo. Heather Gay is kind of digging into the secrets and sins of the Mormon Church. That's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, formally. The whole idea is to pull back that curtain, that seemingly perfect image, and show what's really been kept hidden behind closed doors. And apparently what Heather found really shocked her to her core. She said the real secret lives are much darker, deeper, and more tragic than people might realize. The series, well, it features some really impactful, tough conversations. You'll hear from abuse survivors, people who've left the church, ex-Mormons, even former LDS church leaders. It's really about empowering victims, letting them share their experiences to bring awareness and hopefully enact some change. The trailer itself is pretty emotional. You hear people sharing really poignant experiences, saying things like, "I spent my life being someone I wasn't, and even my earliest memories are of abuse." Just wow. It gets specific too. Part 1 clarifies Heather's own journey out of the church and features David Matheson, who was once called the godfather of conversion therapy. He's out now living as a gay man and details the harmful teachings he once practiced. Then you've got the story of a survivor named Ben, whose experience convinces Heather that it is just the tip of the iceberg. Plus, there's a former bishop reporting on his experiences inside the church. And it really illuminates the story of two sisters, Jenny and Lizzie, who suffered just indescribable abuse from their father and were consistently ignored despite reporting it multiple times to their bishop and even high-ranking church leadership.
So yeah, Surviving Mormonism with Heather Gay premieres on Tuesday, November 11th on Bravo. All 3 episodes will be available for streaming on Peacock the following day, Wednesday, November 12th. So this was today's update about Surviving Mormonism with Heather Gay. Let's now move on to next update.
Next, we are going to talk about the sudden split between Southern Charm alum Olivia Flowers and her ex-fiancé Alex Williams. Okay, so Olivia Flowers, from Southern Charm, well, she confirmed last week that her engagement to Alex Williams is off. And the timing is, well, it's pretty shocking, right? Because she literally just had her bachelorette weekend down in Miami, like weeks ago. And get this, she posted a photo of Alex kissing her the day before they announced the wedding was off. Wow. So officially, her rep put out a statement on October 14th saying, after some heartfelt talks, they made the tough call not to go ahead with the wedding. The official line, it's all about deep mutual respect, love, and they're still committed, just with renewed clarity. But yeah, that suddenness, it definitely got fans thinking something blindsided her. And actually, reports surfaced, like on Bravo and Cocktails on Instagram, kind of illuminating things. The word is, an insider suspects Olivia found something out literally the day she called it quits. Which, would explain posting that kissing pic right before everything fell apart. It also sounds like maybe things weren't super smooth before this anyway. Apparently, the relationship had its ups and downs, and they'd reportedly split a couple of times already. So this was today's update about Olivia Flowers and Alex Williams calling off their wedding. Let's now move on to next update.
Next, we are going to talk about the recent Real Housewives of Salt Lake City recap, covering some serious legal challenges, friend drama, and personal makeups. So this week's episode really illuminates all the explosive drama happening right before that yacht trip. We've got cast members dealing with old secrets, shaky marriages, and some tough family stuff. Okay, first up, Bronwyn. Wow. She's grappling with these headlines popping up alleging identity theft and grand theft. She explains to Todd, that this stuff stems from mistakes she made way back in college, like almost 10 years ago, and the case was actually dismissed and later sealed. But here's the thing. She kind of suspects Lisa might be the one stirring this pot again. And Todd, he straight up warns Bronwyn not to get down in the gutter and muck around with slime by going on this trip, hinting at Lisa. Speaking of Lisa, Heather's calling her a risky friend. Why? Well, Heather points out Lisa's got this pattern, right? Digging up everyone's skeletons and then not really taking accountability. This lack of accountability kind of mirrors things in her marriage, too. Lisa and John both agree they've got communication issues. Feeling taken for granted because business, family, marriage, it's all blurred. John even sarcastically suggests he must be the problem because Lisa thinks everything she does is perfect. Ouch. But hey, there were some makeups. Angie actually manages to set up a meeting with Mary to fix things. Angie apologizes, promises to work on herself, and boom, amends are made. Even after Mary goes off on this wild, detailed rant about, the difference between having gas and actually farting, only Mary, right? And separately, Brittany met with her estranged daughter. Big step here, she takes accountability, like for the first time, admitting she failed as a mom by putting dating men ahead of her child. So this was today's update about the explosive drama in Salt Lake City. Let's now move on to next update.